This is a nice view here. Beautiful day today. Today is day number 18, Monday, May 20th. Hello, hello. I was able to get off to a pretty early start this morning since I was motivated to do 19.8 miles today to get to Cosby Knob shelter. And I've done about 4 miles so far. And it's about 10:30. Maybe a little over 4 miles. So I'm doing fine. I think I'm on track to get to Cosby Knob without too much trouble tonight. It's a very nice day today. Sun's out, skies are blue. And I'm just working to get up the mountain here. So I had a really nice night last night. I will check in later today and give an update. I got some unexpected trail magic at the shelter. It was really nice. But I'll talk about that in a bit. All right, so I've just come to the Hughes Ridge Trail and crossing the first shelter here. So Peck's Corner Shelter is the first shelter after where I stayed last night, which was Icewater Spring Shelter. It's 0.4 down this trail over here. And I'm gonna continue on the AT. I don't yet see where the trail is that's supposed to lead to the shelter. It was not obvious that there was a trail back there. But I guess there must have been. I didn't look very hard because I was not planning to stop at that shelter. But I'm happy to pass it because it's the first kind of solid landmark on the day. And that means I have, I believe, 12.5 miles to go to get to my destination shelter for the rest of the day, which is Cosby Knob Shelter. The day has warmed up a bit, so I've got my sleeves rolled up and trying to keep cool. So last night at the Icewater Spring Shelter, there were 2 guys that had hiked in the 3 miles from Newfound Gap, and they brought trail magic with them. It was kind of a guy my age, maybe a little younger, and an older gentleman. And they brought a whole bunch of stuff just to surprise all the hikers in that shelter. So they brought sausages, and they brought vegetables like peppers and onions and green beans, and they brought sweet potatoes. And they in all these shelters in the Smokies, there's a fireplace inside the shelter with a chimney. And when I got there, they already had a fire going, and they were cooking the vegetables and the sweet potatoes and the sausages in the fire. And shortly after I got there, they started serving it. And in addition to that, they also had some other goodies. They had like a full-size container of Oreo cookies. They had 2 packages of Pepperidge Farm cookies. They had a bag of baby carrots. They had granola bars. They had some honey roasted peanuts. They had a whole bag of mini tangerines, or just tangerines, I guess. And I'm actually a vegetarian, but on trail, I am willing to break my vegetarianism and eat meat if it is part of trail magic and I'm hungry enough to enjoy it. And so last night I did break my vegetarianism and I ate some sausages because I was really hungry, and I knew I could use the energy and the calories, and it tasted really good to me. So when I'm really in need of food, like I usually am on the trail, I am okay with eating meat if it's part of trail magic. If I'm in town and I have my choice of what to buy, I'll certainly pick a vegetarian option. But when it's trail magic just on the trail, I do not feel guilty about partaking in meat that is being offered. And the vegetables that they cooked up, they grilled them on the fire, and they were super delicious. And they made enough to share. There was like a pretty full house. There were about at least 10 people sleeping in the shelter, and we all kind of just got whatever we used to eat off of. I used my peanut butter jar and just filled it up. So it was really awesome. Past couple days we've been shifting different zones, it seems like, in terms of the different trees. For most of the trail up until the Smokies, all the trees had leaves on them, so I believe they were called deciduous trees. And yesterday, for the first time, as I was coming down the other side of Klingman's Dome towards Newfound Gap, it seemed like all the trees shifted to these type of trees. I believe they're conifer trees as opposed to deciduous. So they're like Christmas trees instead of the trees with leaves on them. There are trees with leaves here. But most of the trees yesterday were conifers. And then this morning, I noticed we were back in a bunch of trees with leaves, and now it seems like it's mostly conifers again. It's interesting how it changes. So I'm making progress on the day. I am approaching the second shelter, which is called Tri-Corner Knob. I'm probably still about a mile away. And I think it's about 3 p.m. now. So still on target to get to Cosby Knob by the end of the day. But I'm walking just at a comfortable pace. I'm not pushing it beyond what's comfortable. There's this stretch of trail is fine. The rocks are pretty packed in, and up there it's mostly dirt, but there's been several stretches of trail today where there's lots of little pebbles, which requires me to be more careful with my footing. And the weather's still being good today, so it's a great day. I'm just Just walking carefully and trying to keep my energy up. Thinking about getting Riley tomorrow. As long as I get to Cosby Knob shelter by the end of the day, I'll have 8 miles to do to get to Davenport Gap. So I'll plan to get up early in the morning and try to hit the trail by 7 so I can get to Davenport Gap by 12. 8 miles in 5 hours should be pretty doable for tomorrow morning. All right, so I will check in later. This is kind of the stretch trail I was talking about before, where there's lots of little rocks on the trail that shift underneath your feet. And so I just try to be more careful when walking through this type of section. And go back here. It is closing in on 5 o'clock for the day, and I passed by the second shelter of the day, which was Tri-Corner Knob Shelter, about 1.5 miles ago, and I have, I think, a little over 6 miles to go to get to Cosby Knob Shelter. So as long as the trail doesn't get significantly harder and hopefully the rain holds off, the clouds have definitely moved in, so that is a risk. But as long as nothing majorly bad happens, I should be able to get to the shelter around 8 o'clock or so. I like all the green around me. It looks very pretty. Got some mushrooms down there. I was thinking about how I've said before, when I get to like an overlook and there's a big view of the surrounding like mountains off in the distance, for some reason I don't really value those views all that much, but I like these views, just being immersed in a lush forest with green all around and mixed in with the red of the bark and the sound of running water. This is very peaceful to me. Pleasant. And I like being able to just, continue to walk through it and keep moving with a view of like just a very long distance, seeing out across different mountains. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's, at least on this trail, it's hard to appreciate that while you're actually still walking, because they only come every so often, so you need to stop and just look at it. And it feels like, to me, that you're not really doing anything. You're just looking at the mountains. And I like to be able to keep moving while I appreciate the views. I guess on the west coast, like hiking on the PCT, there's more chances, and also like up north in New Hampshire, going through the White Mountains, there's more chances to get more wide views while you're actually hiking. But for me, this is pleasant enough. The trees provide cover from the rain. I mean, not excellent cover, but they do provide some shelter if it starts raining. So that's nice. Up in New Hampshire, when you're above tree line, it can get dangerous if the weather turns bad. And it's much safer when you're below tree line. So, yeah, again, just going back to last night, I was really surprised and excited and happy with the trail magic that the two guys offered to the whole crew at Icewater Spring shelter. The younger guy who did it said it sounded like he had done the AT previously and the PCT, and that he was planning to start out on the CDT, not to do a thru-hike, but to hike for about 3 months, starting pretty soon. And he and his pal, the other guy that put on the trail magic, just, I guess, were in the area, and they decided to hike up from Newfound Gap, and they just wanted to do trail magic. And it made my night and made several other hikers' nights as well. Most trail magic is put on by trail angels that will find like a road crossing, and they'll drive up to the road crossing, and then when hikers get to the road crossing, they can stop before they continue on. But this is the first time that I've experienced like trail magic where someone actually cooks good food literally at a shelter. So really cool idea. Very well executed. I hope they felt good about our appreciation for what they did. As much as the hike is about like appreciating nature and getting lots of exercise, there's a huge part of it for me is just enjoying all the food that you can eat. I feel like that's the case with a lot of hikers, but I think for me, I enjoy and appreciate the food aspect even more so relative to other things compared to some other hikers. So I see some sunlight, so that's good. There's some blue skies ahead, so that's making me feel more comfortable that the rain will hold off. So I am running out of things to talk about, so I will turn the camera off. Hope everyone's doing well, and I will check back in later. Just got to a wide open view here. Took a break a while back to drink a little water and add some water to my oatmeal yellow rice peanut butter concoction so that it will soak up a little bit between now and the time that I get to the shelter, so it'll be ready to eat. And I got a little chilly while I was doing that, so the sun is shining down now and it feels good on my back. It's warming me up. A lot of times what I'll get into like a cycle of hiking for a while, getting warm and tired, taking a break, then getting a little chilly while I take a break, and then getting motivated to hike again because I want to get warm again. Anyway, nice view back there. I'll check in later. Big tree here. Very, very big. It's like two trees, both two root systems. Pretty cool. So it's a little after 7 p.m. now, and I am, I think, a little over 2 miles away from Cosby Knob shelter. And my main focus for the last several hours has been, I've left my phone on. I have a T-Mobile service, and I've been trying to get in contact with my contact at the kennel that Riley is staying at. So just to confirm that we're all set for a pickup tomorrow at Davenport Gap at 12 p.m. I had already spoken with my contact yesterday and told her that I expected to be at Davenport Gap at 12, and she indicated that she would be able to bring Riley at that time. But I also told her that I would get in contact with her today to confirm that my plans were still on track. And unfortunately, I don't have very good service. I have poor service in this part of the trail. And occasionally I see like that I have 1 bar of service, and then I can, when I see that and I try to send a message, sometimes it'll change to no service or SOS only, even if I'm not moving. Anyway, so I think I was successful in sending her a text message to confirm that my plans are still on track. Anyway, by the time this video actually gets posted, it won't matter anymore. I will have resolved any of the issues that I'm talking about now. But just wanted to give an update on what my focus is currently. So the other thing I'm going to do is when I get to the shelter tonight, I think there's whoever else is there, I can ask if any of them have service and if they would be able to send a text on my behalf to my contact to confirm my plans. So lots of options, I'm sure. I'm confident that things will work out tomorrow. The other thing that's on my mind is Riley was eating the food provided by the kennel, and so as a result, they're going to be able to return to me the 2 large bags of food that I had when I dropped them off. which is good. But the other thing is that I was originally planning on leaving Riley at Standing Bear Hostel. And I didn't find out until a day or so before entering the Smokies that they would not accept him. Partly because he's a pit bull. And they also have young dogs in the house, and they don't want any chance of them getting injured. Anyway, so because I was planning on leaving Riley at Standing Bear, I had ordered 2 bags of food, 2 5-pound bags, so a total of 10 pounds of food to be delivered to Standing Bear for me to pick up when I get there, but also for them to use for his food while he was there. And since he didn't stay there, then I'm assuming those 2 bags are waiting for me. So I'm planning to stop by there tomorrow. It'll be like 3 miles after Davenport Gap that I get to Standing Bear. And basically, if I take everything, all the food that the kennel that he's at is going to return to me, and then take the 2 bags of food that were delivered, I am kind of dreading how much that's going to weigh on my back. It's going to be, it's just a lot of additional weight. So one option is to just not bring some of the food, which I don't like doing, but that is definitely an option. I don't necessarily need to bring more than I need for the short section we're doing to Hot Springs. So I'll figure that out, but that's just another thing that I'm thinking about. Another thought I had while I was sitting down a while ago eating some food before I got chilly and decided to hike again is this is just a random thought that went through my head, is if trees could think, what do you think they would think about? Would they be thinking about the same things that I'm thinking about when I'm walking through or just taking a break, eating food? Like, would they be thinking about things like I'm cold, or I'm hot, or I'm hungry, or I'm thirsty? Or I'm too closed in by my fellow neighbors, I need more space. I have no idea. But from what I'm not a tree expert at all, but from what I understand, there's a lot of complexity to trees. And they apparently have a way of communicating with each other with regard to various things, such as pests, I think, and various other things that I'm not an expert on. So it's interesting to think about what they might be thinking about, even though they probably don't think in the same way that humans think. But there's probably some process inside the trees that kind of can be considered related to a thinking process, even though it's not a conscious thinking process in the way that we normally think about thinking. So I have so much time to think about whatever I want to think about. That's one of the nice things of having the time to do a long hike and kind of removing all the other priorities and projects and other things that take up my time when I'm not on a hike. Anyway, so I am getting to the getting to the shelter. From what I saw on the map, I need to continue going down a bit, and I'm gonna get to like a gap, and then I need to go up a bit, and then the shelter should be somewhere on the ascent after I get to the gap. And I'm looking forward to reading some stuff on my Kindle. So I might as well describe a little bit about what I'm reading. All right, so I just want to close out the day. So I've made it to Cosby Knob shelter. It's right over there. And there is a full moon right overhead. It's kind of hard to see in the camera for some reason. Anyway, so I was able to get here, and there's 12 spots in the shelter, and there were 11 people here when I got here, so I was able to get the very last spot. So glad I was able to get a spot in the shelter. And when I was talking earlier, my battery died on my GoPro, so I wasn't able to complete my thought. So I think I was in the middle of about to describe the book that I'm reading on my Kindle. So I will do that tomorrow. I'm just gonna get ready for bed tonight and try to get up early tomorrow so I can pick up Riley. So today I hiked, I believe, 19.8 miles from Icewater Spring shelter to Cosby Knob shelter, and the current trail mileage, I believe, is about 231 for this shelter, according to the Far Out Guide. All right, so good day. I hope all of you are doing well, and I will check in tomorrow with Riley.